because it simply would not make sense to be anywhere else. In your hall, you have your mini Africa in Johannesburg. You have individuals that come from Ghana, that come from Nigeria, that come from the DRC, that come from Zimbabwe, that come from Ethiopia, and Kenya, and so forth and so forth. So it was important that we come here because this is truly the melting pot of Africa, where everybody resides. But it's also the place that is riddled with a lot of challenges. As we know, there's been a rise in Afrophobic attacks. Some call it xenophobia, but it's actually not, it's Afrophobia attacks. We also know that there's concerns around crime and so forth, and so that's why we wanted to bring these discussions here. So that even those that stay in this area appreciate that we ought to work as one, as a united Africa. And we don't do it because we think that when we hold hands and sing Kumbaya, it's good. So we're not doing it purely for emotive and sentimental purposes, but we do it because there is power in our numbers. From an economic point of view, if Africa is not united, we will continue to be in the periphery. So when we appreciate that when we begin to be combined and united in how we want to develop this beautiful continent, there is so much power in that. I was saying earlier during the press briefing that if all the continents had to shut down and we could not travel to each other, Africa is the only one that would be able to stand. Because the other continents rely on us so heavily. They rely on our mineral resources, they take them, they extract them, they bring them back as refined resources. So that is the pattern that we ought to bring. The pattern of extraction out of Africa and bringing it back in a refined format is what we need to bring. But you're never going to get to that point if we continue to see each other as different entities without appreciating the bigger picture that is there. So when you speak about poverty in Africa, only Africans can liberate themselves. And we do it by beginning to not be divided. So we've got your organizations, and I don't want to get all political, but there are many organizations, and some of them, we know them, the Operation Dudula, and so forth and so forth. So those organizations want to deal with the economic disparities that we see. And yes, the divisions, the Afrophobia that we see, is the divisions and the fights for resources and space amongst the poor and the working class. That is how it manifests itself. It's a fight and a battle for resources and space. So what does that mean? If you want to eliminate the battles, the Afrophobia, you have to deal with the economic question. But how do you deal with the economic question if you don't deal with the issues around unity? These things intertwine into each other. This is the appreciation that we ought to have. So these organizations can fight and say, no, as South Africa, we must protect ourselves and so forth. That's good and well. But you know what? You're only dealing with the immediate. You're not dealing with the long-term issues that we're still going to have. So what is the point? Are we here to struggle for the immediate benefits only, or are we here to ensure that we build an Africa that will be there and will be sustainable for the future generations? Those who fought apartheid and colonization were not thinking about the immediate. In fact, some of them did not realize freedom. Some of them died. They had to give away their lives. Why? Because they understood that they needed to fight for future generations. So why are we so self-centered to think that let's address the immediate and we can forget about the rest? And this is where the issue is. And so when we speak about this, we must be able to put things into context. So what is our provincial government doing? Because of course, we've analyzed this and noted that yes, there may be economic issues, so how do we deal with them, but at the same time without compromising the bigger picture? The premier of this province, who unfortunately could not be here with us because the doctor has moved him off until Friday, indicates, as he was launching the Township Economic Development Act, when he was signing it into an act, he indicates that we do this so that we can increase the opportunities for our local people. The battles and that which gives us disunity is around the economic issues. So by making sure that we focus on the townships and the ability for township individuals to be able to sustain themselves, you are then able to eradicate these other problems that we have. And it's an important piece of legislation that has been signed into place, so that it deals with these fights, and part of the manifestation of it and what will be the ripple effects of that act is that we seek to see greater social cohesion amongst everybody, so that we can focus on the bigger picture, because for now everybody is focusing on their immediate challenges. So we ought to address the immediate, and that is why we've been able to put that act. And what that act says is for us to revive businesses within townships. So we always give the example that Ivilagazi Street is our most successful heritage route. And that is part of the initiatives that are there from this Township Act that is there. So we look into what are the assets that Gauteng has. We don't have an ocean, so we're not like your Cape Town and your Western Cape, but certainly what we do have is a rich history and a rich heritage that we can be able to make sure that it benefits our people from an economic point of view. So we don't look at heritage and culture and issues around social cohesion purely from a sentimental and an emotive point of view. We look at the economics of it. And so that is why when you look at the Vilakazi Street, it is a street that celebrates our history, but it has been able to ensure that the community of Orlando can be able to sustain itself. That community is doing so exceptionally well because of the tourists that come to that area, the artists are able to make a living, the individuals that are in crafts and so forth and so forth, and those that are in the BNPs, etc. It's our most successful heritage route, but we want to replicate that to all parts of the province so that we deal with these issues. Because they want to and want to mislead those that are coming from township and say they are taking your jobs in security and being a waitress and so forth. There are other opportunities that are there, so it makes no sense for you to fight each other to this extent. So that's what our act is about, because we want to make sure that we empower individuals and we begin to stand up on your feet and be able to realize that there is enough for everybody. Africa is rich. There is enough for all of us to be able to make a living. So ours is about the bigger picture, while at the same time dealing with the problems that are immediate that make people fight. So I don't want to get overly too political, because in Kenya I am now the daughter of a pastor, so I can go on and on. So we're here to celebrate Africa. We're here to celebrate that which is us. Partnerships like that which we have with the Paramount allow us to do that. So beyond dealing with the issues around the economy and the stability that we need to bring into the continent, it's also about us transmitting our culture to the rest of the world. And we can be able to learn from each other. The Nigerians have done exceptionally well in transmitting their culture to the world. People wear the Nigerian attire. We all call each other Oga, Ibu, and so forth. And these are things that you learn from the short films that they send out. They've made being Nigerian cool. So we want to see that for the rest of the continent. And these partnerships with the likes of Paramount are important in that regard, because media is an important instrument for communication. So I thank you so much once again. I don't want to belabor the point, but safe to say that we're all here today, united in our African colors. Let's enjoy this day.